Welcome to the ChargePoint podcast, brought to you by FlexiCharge, your gateway to the future of EV charging. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of EV infrastructure, offering insights and perspectives from industry leaders, innovators, and the people at the forefront of deploying charging solutions and networks. Join us to explore the exciting developments that are accelerating our world towards sustainable mobility.
Welcome to the episode 36 of the ChargePoint podcast, recorded at the NextTruck event in Berlin, right at the heart of Europe's e-truck revolution. I'm your host, Christophe. FlexiCharge was at NextTruck too, with our CTO, Dr. Robert Brehm, on stage sharing our vision of turning logistics sites into energy hubs, a message that resonated strongly with the conversations happening across the show floor. In this episode, I bring you 3 short but insightful interviews with innovators who are each pushing the boundaries of what's possible in zero-emission trucking. First, I speak with Claudio Castagnetti from Stäubli, the Austrian precision engineering company helping to make megawatt charging a reality. Claudio explains how Stäubli's expertise in high-power and liquid-cooled connectors is setting new standards for safety and reliability in heavy-duty charging. Then I sit down with Baris Akyalcin, head of e-trucks Europe at BYD, one of the world's pioneers in electrified transport. We talk about BYD's entry into the European heavy truck market, their progress on TCO parity, and the lessons Europe can learn from China's rapid electrification. And finally, you'll hear from Dr. Abdullah Jaber, CEO of Trailer Dynamics, whose groundbreaking e-trailer concept is extending range, reducing energy cost, and accelerating the path to TCO parity for long-haul fleets. Together, these conversations capture the spirit of an industry in motion, ambitious, collaborative, and laser-focused on making electric trucking viable at scale. So let's dive in straight from NextTruck Berlin and explore how technology, partnerships, and a shared vision are driving the next chapter of sustainable logistics. All right, let's get started with the first guest on this new episode of the ChargePoint podcast at the heart of the e-truck revolution at the NextTruck event in Berlin. I'm joined by Claudio from Stäubli. Welcome, Claudio.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for taking the time into this busy trade show to meet us and explain a bit what the Stäubli is doing. But before we jump into Stäubli, just can you say a few words about your background?
So myself, I'm Claudio Castagnetti. I'm leading the sales team for e-mobility at Stäubli. I joined Stäubli about 2.5 years ago, and I used to work in the automotive industry where I spent about 25 years.
All right, automotive veteran here. Great. So let's start with what is Stäubli showcasing here at NextTruck?
So here at NextTruck, we basically have our 2 main products for trucks, which are the MCS inlet on the vehicle side and equally the MCS charging cable on the infrastructure side. So basically, we are offering MCS solutions for both sides of the business.
Right. Nothing can work without this kind of component. Great. So Stäubli, I read, is known for precision connectors and industrial automation. Correct me if I'm wrong. So how is the company positioning itself in the e-truck and heavy-duty charging ecosystem?
It's a very good question. So actually, we're not a typical automotive supplier. We are really coming from very high power application, electrical application, like in the power distribution. I would say the venture of electric trucks, where there is a need for higher power, connection is opening the door for a company like Stäubli to enter this automotive space. So this is an opportunity for us. As I said, we are used to do thousands of volts, thousands of amperes. This is not really the challenge for us. Also, the volumes of electric trucks are not so high. So we see this as a sort of a low-hanging fruit for us to enter this space.
Oh, that's funny. So you kind of see MCS as a small voltage or small power, where most industry is really opening wide eyes when we talk about MCS and frightened about the level. Interesting. So from your perspective, what are the main drivers of the e-truck revolution right now? Regulation, technology readiness, or market demand from logistics players?
This is a challenging question. I mean, there are some drivers and there are some challenges, I would say. I would say the technology readiness is there. And I think the truck makers have learned from the experience of the car makers, for example, that maybe it makes sense to standardize a connection system. So MCS, as you know, it's a common standard between at least Western Europe and the United States, unlike the car industry with the CCS1, CCS2, and SES. So I think there was very important learning there. The OEMs are ready. I think we heard today also some speeches from companies like DHL who say, give me the trucks. There is some companies have...
say that. Give me the truck.
Oh, exactly. I think some companies have, I would say, a very strong pull for this type of product, be it for sustainability, for, let's say, image, or in front of the shareholders, etc. But also, I think that the overall mission to reduce emission is the value that many companies value. And we've also heard from some truck drivers that actually driving an electric truck is much more pleasant. The truck is quiet, it's more comfortable, it's more powerful. So it seems that also the truck drivers are ready for it. Now it comes to the challenges. What is the challenge? The main challenge is the infrastructure. Who is going to build and when the necessary infrastructure for these trucks to move on our public roads? And that is, I would say, currently the open question.
So chicken or the egg, it's maybe the chicken or the egg here again, yeah. So high power and reliable connections are critical for depot and public charging. So what specific innovations is Stäubli bringing to enable fast, safe, and durable charging for heavy-duty vehicles? You said a bit, but give us a bit more explanation.
Sure. As I said, so basically at Stäubli, we have our history is based on a contact technology. It's called Multilam, where we have many years of experience. So with this basic contact technology, we can ensure, let's say, a high-quality connector with minimum contact resistance, which is obviously an important topic regarding safety. I would say it is at the basic level. We are also used to make very powerful connectors, as we're coming from other businesses like power distribution. So let's say we know quite easily how to dimension a connector that can transfer thousands of amperes, an example. More than that, we have invested recently in also a lot of simulation capability. So when we speak about high power, at the end, what happens is that components will get warm. And so I would say the high power challenge is translated into a thermal management challenge. And that's where we have recently invested. So on the vehicle side, we support our customer to integrate a high power connector into their system by doing, for example, thermal simulation, as we control very well the properties of our product, and with the duty cycle that comes from our customer, we can help them to do this integration. I would say the integration is a very critical factor, as they don't have experience so far on how to do it. And of course, this is also related to safety more than efficiency. And on the charging infrastructure side as well, for example, there you have to expect that you have a connector that is continuously loaded, as theoretically there's one truck coming and another one going. So there we are talking about liquid cooling technology. Now this is obviously a much more complex topic, in particular for companies who used to do just electrical things. We are also a little bit helped by another division of Stäubli that is doing fluid connectors. So I would say there we could match the know-how of the electrical connectors with the fluid connector and be able to develop what we think will be the most efficient liquid cool MCS charging connector.
Interesting. Thank you. So staying with the MCS megawatt charging system, which is on everyone's lips this year. So how do you contribute to making MCS and automated connection systems a reality? So because we've been talking about it, it's coming, yes, but is it coming and how is it coming and how are you helping for this to become a reality? Yes,
thank you also for this question. I mean, I must say we are all in on MCS. So we were a strongly believer of this technology from the very early stage. So we are part of the Charin group. So we contribute with other partners or other companies like us. We have contributed in the creation pretty much of the standard by sharing our know-how and exchanging with the other industry peers. So we are one of the companies who had first prototype. And as you know, the standard is not yet public, but we are already, I would say, at the third generation of prototypes. And with these products, we've been able to engage with our customers, both on the vehicle side, let's say the OEMs, and also on the charging station side, the EVSCs, so the OEMs of the charging station, quite early. And I would say this has enabled all of us to get with speed to a certain level of confidence. So even though, as I said, the standard is not public yet, I would say a lot of players in this industry are not waiting for the standard. They've already invested. They've already started to design
and deploy. I've seen a few deployments in the Nordics already of MCS plugs for trucks in Sweden, Denmark, Finland.
Exactly, and some of them are obviously from us. So I would say we have engaged both with the standardization group, Charin, but also with our customers very early. And I think this is our main contribution to the rollout of MCS.
Solid, absolutely, yeah. So let me ask you, many fleets are electrifying depots, but face grid constraints and operational complexity. So how do you see connection and charging technologies helping make depot charging more efficient and scalable?
Yes, this is also a little bit of a challenge. Of course, there are some companies who may have invested in a certain technology, for example, CCS, and now MCS is coming. And so the question is, what do they do? Do they add MCS? Do they change what they've already invested? So probably there is not one solution for all. Right now, we are in a situation where for depot charging, you could use CCS, so the same technology is used for cars, but that means the truck needs to have a CCS inlet for that purpose. And for opportunity charging, when you're driving on the long distance, let's say on the highway, most likely you will need faster charger, so you also need an MCS charging lead. This is the reason why some trucks that you will see on the market next year will have one CCS and one MCS. Is that the most efficient way? I guess not. So probably here people have different opinions, but MCS has the opportunity to be, first of all, the common standard between Europe and United States. And that's already a big advantage. And while MCS is a megawatt charging system connector, of course, it can also be used at lower power. So having one single connector that is common between the two regions and that can work with low power and high power at the same time should somehow incentivize a simplification. I think that, from my point of view, that's the direction we should head to. I mean, the vehicle will be simpler. There will be less suppliers, reduced supply chain, less complexity in design, in production, and the depot charging also could use, let's say, one standard solution. So I think it's really about committing to it and believing in it. And I think if it would really end with one standard, at least in Western Europe and United States, then this would simplify a lot of things.
Yes, so collaboration is key in this emerging ecosystem. You mentioned it, right? The OEMs, CPOs, utilities, technology providers. So tell us a bit about what kind of partnerships is Stäubli pursuing to accelerate the adoption of e-truck, and maybe name drop a few names. It's always nice to be concrete.
Okay, as you said, yeah, absolutely, totally key aspect, especially when you have a new technology that not many people are familiar with. I think we all have to learn from each other, so absolutely key aspect. So as I mentioned earlier, we work both on the vehicle side and we work on the charging infrastructure side. So we have to partner with different players here. On the vehicle side, obviously, we work very closely with the OEMs, but we also work with the tier ones, the companies who make a power distribution unit, for example. And I would say in most cases, we have multi-party NDAs among us because each of us is responsible for a piece of the puzzle. And there are topics also where we help, let's say, in the integration, for example, with engineering services like thermal simulation, which is a key aspect. And obviously, all of this needs to happen quite early, before anybody is kicking off tooling for any type of parts. So I would say the automotive industry is sort of used to do this type of collaboration, and I would say it's a natural step. And clearly, there is more and more collaboration, not only between suppliers and customers, but we see also the OEMs are collaborating with each other. So I think this is overall a positive aspect for the whole industry. Now, if we look at the charging infrastructure side of things, I would say for us, I mean, we work with the VSCs, companies like Alpitronic, as an example. I didn't mention the OEMs, but the usual suspects, Daimler. So on the charging side, I would say for us, it was really key to have a strong partnership with a cable supplier company. It's Leoni. I think this is public knowledge that we partnered together. It had been a fundamental, I would say, partner to develop our charging liquid cooled cable. I would say also in that case it was really us, Leoni and the EVSC working together, as this is quite a complex system. You have to balance, let's say, the system and make sure that none of the components between the connector, the cable, let's say the chiller and the charging station is either over-engineered or under-dimensioned and creates a bottleneck. So I would say in this case it was also a common understanding between all parties that we have to work together.
Great. So when I listen to you, I really understand that there are some serious companies of a serious size that are working together on cracking the technology piece, right? In the puzzle, as you said, and you on the cable side, I had no idea. That's why I love to meet people like you. So what would be your message to operators, logistics operator, that are still hesitant or maybe frightened to make the step, the move into electrification?
Yes, it's a very interesting question. Again, I think on the technology side, everybody knows that many players are ready. We have the connectors, the OEMs have designed a truck. So the missing piece is really the charging station, right? Of course, the charging station, they have to make an investment, right? And they are unsure about the payback of this investment because it depends on so many factors. Nevertheless, if we look at how quickly the technology is developing, I mean, now we have battery energy storage, we have solar panels, we have tons of companies doing software and buying and selling electricity. I think in particular the last 2-3 examples I made, they are really an enabler, to improve dramatically what could be a business case. I think we all have to believe that eventually there will be only electric trucks. So maybe a piece of advice, of course, if you're in early, it will be much easier to ride the wave, if you like, and it will be more difficult for players who come in late. I mean, we've seen this in the car industry, right? Tesla has led the way, and some companies have struggled. So my recommendation is to embrace innovation, embrace collaboration, embrace the ecosystem, including now also software. And as I said, I think the ones who will start early will flourish more than others.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. On that note, Claudio, thank you for taking the time and wishing you a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. All right, moving on to the second conversation at NextTruck event here on the ChargePoint podcast. I have Baris Akyalcin, did I say it right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so you are head of eTrucks Europe for BYD. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time. So BYD is one of the global pioneers in electrified transport, from buses to passenger cars and now also heavy trucks. So for those less familiar with your work, can you briefly share BYD's journey in electric trucks in Europe and your main focus areas today?
Oh, yes. BYD, as you know, is a global electrical vehicle producer. When it comes to truck, we started our journey for the trucks for Europe slightly more than 3 years ago. And today I would like to emphasize all the people attending our growing portfolio and our operation in Europe. And that's a very exciting period, actually, when it comes to electrification of the trucks. And I try to explain our, let's say, short and long-term plans for the people attending today.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll come back to that. So you had a keynote. So yes, so what was the key message you wanted to get across to the industry at NextTruck?
I think the change is already happening in the industry, and we are at the beginning of this curve. So I think the key message to all the people is here, it's happening right now, and we shouldn't wait. The technology is already there, products are available. Yes, there are challenges, but it's an exciting time, and I think all the key players in the market today need to work together to make it happen. That's the key message.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we've seen a nice big growth of e-truck launches, but adoption is still, you would say, uneven, right? So from your perspective, where is the European market right now on its electrification curve? You mean at the start of the curve? Can you elaborate?
Yes, of course. If you look at how many trucks sold in Europe per year, it's around 350,000 every year. And electrification ratio is now just 2%. So you can look at the situation from negative side, but I look from the positive side. I see a significant growth possibilities here. We experienced this in the past in the bus business in BYD. 10 years ago, the bus electrification was almost zero, but we were there. So we make it happen. Now we are one of the significant players when it comes to electrical buses right now. For the trucks, I see that we are in the same position, just like 10 years ago in the bus business. Technology is there. Market is not moving that direction yet with the full speed, but we will make it happen. So I think this is an exciting time.
Absolutely, yeah, I can confirm. I mean, we're based in Copenhagen, and I see your buses zipping up and down the streets quietly. It's quite nice with the e-bus for sure. So how is BYD leveraging its vertical integration, right? Especially your in-house battery technology to improve uptime and reach this cost parity, which is so essential faster?
Of course, I mean, the vertical integration of the technology is a key. When you look at the electrical vehicles and particular trucks, electrical motor, axle, batteries, all should work in harmony, right? And BYD has a unique advantage that we can supply all these key technologies inside. And that's giving us an advantage because we can bring the solutions faster to the market. And we can also bring a competitive solutions. So that is, I think, a unique point. And we are using this vertical integration significantly. And of course, when you look at the performance of our vehicles, since we have the control over the driveline, all the key elements, we are able to bring really competitive solutions when it comes to the real performance. So I think one of the advantages of having the technology to be able to provide really competitive uptime and also the cost parity.
That makes sense, absolutely. So in the next few years, we expect that around 70 to 80% of truck charging will happen at depots. How do you see depot charging shaping the strategies of European fleets?
Significantly. If you look at the use case of the customers right now in Europe, they're mainly using the electrical trucks between the depots. So loading in certain location, unloading in another one. So most of the cases right now, they don't use on-road charging as much as they should actually. So they use depot charging. From that point of view, it is really critical to have these depot charging capabilities on the both side of the logistic operation. I think this is a key. And in order to speed up the electrification, having those depot charging facilities up and running, I think is going to be helping the electrification really well. So this is something really important, and we are working together with our customers to provide this end-to-end solution actually.
Understand that. So let's look a bit at the enablers or the pain points that you see when your customers try to electrify their depots. What would you mention in order of importance or magnitude?
When it comes to infrastructure, there are challenges about getting the power and also making a planning about the power for the future needs, because you need to get the power from the grid. You need to have the capabilities to charge those vehicles on time when the trucks are back from the operation. We see that the customers are having issues about making this plan, getting the power on time. Of course, affordable trucks are always a question because comparing to diesel trucks, the capex of the electrical trucks are still higher, but we are working on the TCO parity, and we are trying to make our TCOs much more competitive. So this is what we are trying to do. But the main challenge I see on the customer side to make this transformation about the infrastructural needs. How am I going to put those chargers? How am I going to get the power? Those kind of challenges, it's something we need to work on still.
Absolutely, yeah, and it requires some coordinated efforts. So let's say, once fleets start scaling, it's not just about installing the charger, right? It's orchestrating energy use intelligently, right? So how critical do you think smart load and energy management will be to ensure reliable, cost-efficient operations for large e-truck fleets?
That's really important because, when it comes to 1-2 trucks, it's manageable. But imagine that you have 50, 60 trucks charging at the same time. So there are peaks that you cannot handle, right? So a couple of things, the planning of the vehicle, charging cycle, energy management, and making sure that you have the power when the trucks are back to the depot. These are critical things. So we are trying to work with energy management systems to manage this operation, but also try to understand the customer use case. Because some of the cases, like we can provide the vehicles, but customer cannot handle it from an infrastructural point of view. So I think this is really crucial, and it will be more and more crucial when we scale up.
Before we continue with the show, deploying charging stations in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland? Our optimized masterclass, Compliance First, shows you how to master local grid regulations and stay ahead. Discover how our grid control service helps CPO cut through complexity and connect faster in the DACH region. Watch now the on-demand webinar on our website. And now back to the show. How do you see yourself and other OEMs collaborating more closely with software and energy partners to deliver this operational intelligence?
We have to. I mean, not only BYD, but all the OEMs now, we need to provide cooperations with all the partners in the market. We cannot do it alone. As BYD, we already cooperate with certain companies for fleet management, the battery energy storage systems, and all kind of, let's say, systems that we can integrate into this solution. So yeah, definitely. I mean, we are very open for the cooperation, and we already have a contact with the European counterparts for this kind of discussions right now.
Great, yeah. Call for other people to join. BYD is open for collaboration. Very logical. So now really a question I'll be looking forward to asking. So China has electrified commercial transport at incredible speed, and we know they are ahead as a market. So what lessons from that experience should Europe pay attention to?
I think the speed is important. You know, if we wait for each other to interact and to do something, we will wait for a long time. So I think the speed is very important. I was amazed with the speed of implementation in China. That's unbelievable. And that's, I think, the key takeaway from this, all parties are working together. So governmental authorities, operators, OEMs, I think they need to work together. So OEMs are responsible bringing the competitive solution, but that's not the end. The governments or the local authorities should enable regulations and the usages, and also we need to make sure that the necessary infrastructure in place. So I think the key takeaway, if everybody works together with a certain goal, I think we will make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely also my impression. It's about coordinated effort, to enable this on a large scale. So if we look ahead to 2030, what's your vision for BYD's role in Europe's e-truck ecosystem, and what personally excites you most about this transition?
What excites me most about the transition is like we are just in the beginning. So I see the growth potential, and I see that will be a big transformation about how we use the vehicle and what kind of operations we use these vehicles for. And that's an exciting part, and we are just in the beginning. I see that technology is advancing rapidly, and we are one of the pioneers when it comes to technology. So I'm very excited about seeing BYD also a key player in the market and helping the customers and the ecosystem to grow. So that's our aim, and we are excited about this.
Yeah, I understand, yeah. And a bonus question about, if you look in your crystal ball, which markets do you see taking off faster than the others? I mean, like, do you think Norway will also be like the poster child of e-trucks like it was for cars?
Certain markets are already moving ahead. For example, like Nordics in general, or Benelux, particularly in the Netherlands. And but it's all about, having the right ecosystem. When it comes to ecosystem, like right regulation in place, infrastructural preparations. When you look from that point of view, yeah, definitely. I mean, Nordics, Benelux, those markets are already moving ahead. But it doesn't mean the others will not. So we see already the demand is coming up from the other markets as well. So I'm very positive about the change right now, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a big opportunity for Europe. So on that note, thank you very much, Baris, for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Pleasure.
Wishing you a safe return home. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to the third and last conversation here at NextTruck with Abdullah Jaber from Trailer Dynamics. Welcome, Abdullah.
Hi, happy to be here.
Thank you for joining me here in the virtual studio here at NextTruck. So let's start here. What is Trial Dynamics showcasing at the trade show, and what is the key message you want visitors to take away?
Right. So we are actually an e-trailer manufacturer. To give you a kind of idea what we are talking about, we are talking about a semi-trailer, an electrified one with a huge battery and a traction, let's say, drivetrain. We are, although the let's say the exhibition here is quite small, so we are just having a kind of a very small stand because the vehicles are obviously very big. But we have some vehicles here close, so customers who were interested were able to see the vehicles, and we are showcasing them everywhere else. So today we were actually just showcasing the concept. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. So for those who may not know Trial Dynamics yet, so what's your core mission, and how does your technology help accelerate the shift towards zero-emission road freight?
Yes. So our core mission is really to enable electrification for long-haul applications. There are already a lot of I think from every truck manufacturer beside Ford probably, big rigs, so semi-tractors that are already electrified. But unfortunately, and this is something that we were betting on, their range is limited to the size of the batteries and the capacity that they have. For our audience who don't know that, the energy density of batteries is way lower than diesel, and therefore the range of these vehicles is limited. It is sufficient for regional delivery up to 250, 400 kilometers. A lot of options are available, but everything that goes beyond that, and this is actually what we see on highways, is the long-haul application use case. And there we come with our technology where we try to mitigate the driving resistances of the trailer. That is actually the biggest contributor to the driving resistances. Make it as easy as possible, very similar to an electric bike, that is then increasing the range of battery electric trucks, at least doubling it. And this is then the main enabler for making or getting the electrification for these big rigs.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense, yeah, absolutely. Very clever. So can you explain how this changes the game compared to simply electrifying the tractor unit?
Absolutely. So as we are doing a lot of testing ourselves and with our customers, the main pain point is really the limited range on the one hand. If you're lucky and you find a possibility for intermediate charging with high power chargers, you have to charge at least 1 or 2 times to make it for, let's say, the expected range of 600 to 800 kilometers, right? And the second, or I have a lot of issues here, as you can imagine. Doing a full charge, that is then obviously a necessity, takes mostly 80 minutes, sometimes 2 hours, depending on the power output. And this is the time that is interfering also with the driving time of the driver. And then you have also the high costs that are kind of painful because you are paying for this, let's say, energy on demand thing a lot more than we could probably have smarter solutions somewhere, and we will talk about that. Last but not least is actually the accessibility of these chargers that are available today. Most of them are made for passenger cars. So the main solution is range and cost efficiency, and having then let's say control over your energy flows.
Makes sense, yeah, clear. So one of your main claims is that the e-trailers can help fleets achieve a TCO parity with diesel truck faster. So how does it work in practice? Where do the biggest cost savings come from?
Right. So this diesel claim is kind of controversial because it depends very much where you are operating. If you are in the Nordic states, very clear, you are already with an e-trailer on the right side, on the TCO side. If you are in Poland or let's say Saudi Arabia, it will be a little bit challenging.
Yeah, okay.
But our main customers or focus is really a little bit in the future. in the introduction of these battery electric trucks, and some of our audience will know that from 2030 there will be a mandate where truck manufacturers have to push the introduction of battery electric trucks more and more. And as we mentioned in the beginning, we will have this kind of bottleneck in the range, and getting a solution on the road that is very similar to the already common operation modes of our haulers is what we are aiming for. This is that e-trailer that helps battery electric trucks to be operated quite similar to diesel trucks.
Yeah, that makes sense. So as more fleets electrify, depots and charging are becoming critical, right, as we discussed. So how do e-trailers fit into that ecosystem? Can they also interact with charging infrastructure or even support energy management at the depot?
Yes, so yes and no. So I think this is why we are sitting here together today and discussing, and we will go probably also towards this let's say, island bridging interactions and collaborations between truck manufacturers, trailer manufacturers, charging suppliers, grid operators. As the main thing that we want to do is to shift the intermediate charging fraction of the energy usage from today 80% to 20%. So we are kind of reversing and want to put the main energy consumption back to the depot. And with that, we are giving our customers a lot of flexibility and control over the pricing, and coming to how they can allocate and, let's say, sell and buy energy more flexibly. So this is where we are heading for. We want to have the trucks and the trailers as enablers charge as much as they can in the depot and help our customers with our partners to find the best solutions, because this is the point. You have, on the one hand, currently this very high cost that you don't have any control over in intermediate charging sense, on the one hand, but on the other hand, you have the possibilities in your depot to go for the best price at the best time, orchestrate everything, look for when is my trailer being loaded and when can it be charged. I think this is kind of the most enabler to make this control over the costs really happening.
Yeah, I agree. More capacity available is the truck and the trailer that both have batteries. Of course, then it becomes a massive, for sure.
Yeah, and to give a kind of idea how much capacity we have. So nowadays, the trucks that I know, the big trucks, have 380 kilowatt hours available until I think I have seen already two brands that have 600 and more. In the trailer, we have 550 available. So you're in a range where you're quite tenfold of what you know from the biggest passenger cars.
Yes, I was about to say, 1 to 10, exactly, pretty massive. So as you said, it clearly demands collaboration, bridging those islands between OEMs, trailer makers, fleets, charge point operators. So how do you see partnerships forming to make e-trailer adoption scalable?
Yeah, so it is not about the partnerships forming, it is more about the necessity of these partnerships. When we entered our field for the first time, it was really like the trucks are doing their business, the trailer manufacturers are doing their business.
When was that?
2018.
Early days.
And nowadays we come to a situation where we are learning together that communication between the vehicles, adapting one to another is super important. Trying to find the best driving strategy between truck and trailer. Having a communication with a charger and telling, okay, I'm coming at that time and need this amount of money, or money obviously also, but energy. But I need also to leave at that time and will come to another destination, let's say 300, 400 kilometers or something, and this is the amount of energy I'm expecting to use, is critical to make everything work. So communication is now key.
Absolutely, So let's talk about the hurdles So what are the biggest hurdles you're encountering today? Are they technical, regulatory, or more about convincing fleets to rethink their operational model? Tell me.
A lot, yeah. Every aspect you mentioned is a hurdle, and it's our job to solve these issues. So nowadays, just as an example, if I'm driving, I have more or less no communication with the chargers. Even the intermediate charging is always a mess. I don't know before arrival if the chargers are free, what kind of let's say boundary conditions I will see there. So this is something that would help a lot if we can go beyond this hurdle. Regulatory hurdles are something that we are tackling since years. We are solving, so the e-trailer wasn't kind of part of the homologation directive because trailers are mostly pulled vehicles, so we had to introduce a trailer, convince everybody that this is a good idea. We're working on multiple task forces and workshops to get the regulation ready, to go in the dialogue with truck OEMs to have the right solution from the safety perspective, from the efficiency perspective, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. And obviously, and that was the beginning of our journey, having a very deep discussion and communication with our customers to understand their pain points and build the solutions that they need to help solve their problems, right? So when we began really with a very small battery size and a decent axle. And in the end, the customers came and told us, you know what, we have diesel trucks that need to reduce their CO2 emissions on the one hand, but we have this range problem. What is the maximum possible optimal solution? And fortunately, what we have today is the optimal solution. So it's also reflected in Vector tool for ranking, let's say, the solutions that help to mitigate emissions. You have to talk to everybody. You have to convince a lot of people. You have to be the chief diplomat everywhere. But we are very, very fortunate and also very convinced that we are on the right path.
Absolutely, yeah. You just started early, which doesn't make it easy for sure. So, so we at FlexiCharge we talk about transforming logistics sites into energy hubs. So, how do you see e-trailers playing into that future or vision? Which features, like maybe regenerative braking or even potential vehicle-to-grid services, would that be part of it?
Right. So, regenerative braking is always a very fine thing, but if you just consider trucks driving on highways, you will rarely see them braking. Mostly, if we have some, let's say, challenging topographies, yes, but mostly if you are going to the Netherlands or some flat areas, in our experience, we are harvesting 3 to 7% at max. So this is something that is helping a lot, because now as energy is scarce, every kilowatt hour is super important. But I think the vehicle to grid solution is something that we at the beginning were thinking about a lot, but what we have missed is actually the fleet of vehicles that could do that. So in our vehicles, this kind of potential services are integrated. We can have these bidirectional energy flows, but we have a missing part in between the grid and the vehicle. This is, let's say, the entity that orchestrates and is kind of the gatekeeper who brings the energy into the vehicle when it's optimal and cheap, and bring it back and managing that when it makes sense.
Yeah. So again, V2G has been discussed for years, and I think it feels like it's getting more closer than ever. So I think 26 should be the year of V2G projects. I mean, we've seen some of the passenger car announcing V2G for the home, so or V2 home. So V2G is there, and if you work, as you told me, with charger OEMs, the bigger one, everybody wants to be ready for that. So So finally, what would you say to logistics and depot operators who you meet who are still hesitating about electrifying their operations?
Yeah, so I have two answers. The first is, and this is, I think, for some of them not a good news, is that the change is happening, even if they don't want that. And this is also a good thing, because obviously we see what is happening to our climate. We see that we are importing this oil or petrol or diesel, call it, or LNG, whatever. It is not a resource that is helping us. It's fueling a lot of wars outside of our, let's say, reach. So we are here very confident that there is a change happening. This is actually what we are betting on, yeah, and we are preparing ourselves to bring then the solution to our customers. We think that the technology is ready. On the truck side, on the trailer side, on the charger side, we see also vehicle-to-grid solutions, virtual energy storage concepts emerging. And what is happening really, and this is something that we can see very clearly in China, is that when you enter this kind of new technologies, you will very fast see that it is also the most cost-effective solution, because you're having energy efficiency on the one hand. You are 3 to 4 times more efficient than burning fossil fuels on the one hand, but you have also the possibility to get this energy quite cheap, and you have full control over this energy. Control is king, and you are not really depending on fluctuating prices. Today 150, tomorrow 170 for a liter of diesel. So I think we are on the right track and getting let's say environmental issues solved together with capitalism. This is nothing that is normal. Yeah? Normally they don't fit together.
Yeah. But that's the whole thing, exactly. Yeah, we can't expect them just to want to save the world, but adopting this will save the planet. So, and they are big contributors. We know the emissions of the transport. Abdullah, thank you very much for taking the time, and all the best with Trailer Dynamics, and keep in touch.
Thank you.
And that wraps up this episode of the ChargePoint podcast, recorded at NextTruck in Berlin. And what a fascinating glimpse into the future of electric trucking it's been. Across the 3 conversations, one thing stood out very clearly. This industry is moving from experimentation to execution. From BYD, we heard from Baris that the technology is ready, the vehicles are here, and the time to act is now. Electrification isn't something to wait for, it's happening. But it requires everyone in the value chain to work together. OEMs, energy players, policymakers, and most importantly, the logistics operators who will make or break the business case. Claudio from Stäubli reinforced the same spirit of collaboration. His perspective from the charging technology side showed how deep partnerships between cable makers, connector specialists, and charger manufacturers are essential to make megawatt-scale charging safe, reliable, and scalable. And he added an important reminder: the companies that start early and embrace innovation will be the ones to thrive as this ecosystem matures. Finally, Abdullah, CEO of Trailer Dynamics, brought in a truly systemic view, showing that the transformation isn't just about the truck or the charger, but about the entire transport system. Their smart e-trailer technology helps bridge the gap to TCO parity and proves that electrification can be achieved not only through new vehicles, but also through intelligent engineering that optimizes what already exists. So when you put all those insights together, I think that a clear pattern emerges. The technology is advancing fast. Collaboration across industries is no longer optional, it's the engine of progress. And the focus is shifting from prototypes to profitable, scalable operations. At FlexiCharge, this aligns perfectly with our own mission to help logistics operators turn their sites into energy hubs where smart charging, load management, and energy optimization make electrification both reliable and economical. If you enjoyed these conversations, please consider giving the ChargePoint podcast a 5-star rating. It really helps more professionals and curious minds discover these stories, enjoy the movement towards a zero-emission freight future. I'm Christophe. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.